What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We're going to go over our 4-month review of our Segway UT6 M side-by-side. Stick around. All right, like I said in the intro, today I'm going to walk through our 4-month review basically of our side-by-side here. As I said in the very first video we made whenever we took delivery of this is the first side-by-side we have ever owned. So, you know, I really did not know what to expect going into this. I have some friends that own them, but I've just used them. I mean, my total time in a side-by-side was probably less than 1 hour. So, totally new to this. But for those who are wondering, we bought this exclusively for farm use. We have zero plans to take this out on trail rides or anything like that. Does that mean we're not? No, it doesn't mean we're not. It just means that's not in our plan. Maybe in the future we will, but this is going to be the workhorse for around the farm. We have used it a lot here already in the past 4 months. I'll kind of walk through some of that, but first, let's get in. I'm going to tell you a little bit about where we're at, the hours, the mileage, and the first service that we just had done. Let's go. All right, once again, for those who may have missed the very first video, just a quick walk around of the machine here. Really aggressive looking. You know, that was one of the first things that jumped out at me whenever I saw it. As I said in that video, I did not go to the dealership looking for a Segway. I went for a totally different model or totally different manufacturer of side-by-side, and this one was there. I thought it was very eye-catching from the beginning, but I thought, it's a Segway. I'm not interested. But the dealer told me more about the features, sold me on it, and so far we've been really impressed with it. I love the wheels on it as well. I know that's not really a big deal, but you know, they are sporty and attractive looking wheels. Really nice ride height on it. Interior is very clean, very comfortable. It does have the hydraulic assist. Oh, can I do it left-handed? There we go. Hydraulic assist dump bed there on it, which is really nice. It is a single-cylinder belt drive engine and transmission. Say what you want about that. I know some folks are, you know, a little bit leery of that, and I totally get that. I understand completely, but, you know, unless you're wanting to step up to a premium level product, a lot of times you're going to have to make those sacrifices. Would a 2-cylinder, more powerful, more torquey engine probably be really nice to have? Yes. Did I want to spend another $5,000 on a side-by-side? No. Same thing as far as the transmission gearbox there. Would it have been nice to have a true gear drive transmission? Yes. Did I want to spend another $4,000 or $5,000 on one? Probably not. Maybe a mistake on my part. I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, this is our first foray into the side-by-side world, so still kind of learning here what we got going on. One thing, like I said in the first video, that really sold me on this side-by-side versus the ones we were going to look at, the ones we were going to look at were more of a compact size side-by-side. This is a full size. We can easily fit 3 people in the front seat. So my wife, myself, and my daughter were in here just yesterday going down to the garden down there to go start planting potatoes. And we rode very comfortably. There are actually 3 seat belts there. The front windshield was not on the machine when we bought it. That was aftermarket. Now it is a, zoom in there, it is a Segway branded windshield there on it. Went in super easy. They delivered it, came out. It basically just has these little quick clips on it here. Zoom in or focus on that. It's not focusing, I don't think. But anyway, it was super easy, crazy easy to install. I mean, there's just the 4 clamps. You just rotate them 90 degrees. And it's a toolless install design. Couldn't say anything better about it than that. It has worked flawlessly, really easy to clean. It isn't streaking, and it has a very faint light tint to it as well. So adjustable ride height. The shocks are adjustable on it, front and rear, which is really nice. I haven't messed with it. I have no need to. And you do have the 2-inch receiver there. Really nice feature to have. Inside, really clean, nothing really, you know, over the top with it. All right, so you've got your 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, and diff lock button knobs right there. Really self-explanatory. I'll hop in here, and you've got your parking brake T-handle here. You know, nothing fancy. This is basically just an emergency override switch that you can use if you're stuck and you're needing to have to kind of wiggle yourself in and around to get yourself out of a bind. It does come with a winch factory up in the front. Have not had to use it other than just the day we took delivery of it, just testing it to make sure it works. You know, may come a day where I might use it for different things as needed. You do have this accessory storage box right here on the premium model, the P model. This is actually a very large touchscreen panel. And then it also has this glove box over here, which obviously there's a pair of gloves. And then in manual and license plates and all that sort of stuff. Floorboard, really straightforward, clean. This seat here folds up. You have access to your battery right here, which I did charge a battery tender to it one time for a couple of days just to try to keep the battery up high. I did get a notification on the app. Yes, this vehicle is connected to an app, and the app notified me that my battery voltage was getting low, so I plugged a battery tender into it for a little while. You also have this recessed ring here underneath the far passenger seat, which is perfect for a 5-gallon bucket to set into. And then when you close the seat down, it sits down right on top of that 5-gallon bucket. There's also another little slot down here, and you can stick whatever you want to in there. Same as underneath the driver's, the steering wheel as well here in the driver's column. Got a 12-volt connection here. And then over here is a couple of USB. Come on, open up. There's your couple of USB ports if you want to charge a phone or a little Bluetooth speaker or something. All right, let's turn this ignition over. Turn the power on so it goes through and does its little startup thing here. Okay, so looking here at the instrument cluster here, you've got your electronic power steering. I have it set in the low settings, so there's a low, medium, high. This is basically the responsiveness of the power steering. Not really sure why it's on low. I thought I had it on medium. My daughter has been driving this, and maybe that's what's going on. We have only got 16 and a half hours on it, and we have put just over 31 miles on it. We have 63 miles roughly left in the fuel tank as far as mileage on the of what's left in the tank there. And then you see over here, this is showing we're currently at 12.7 volts for the battery. I'm going to check that out probably on my app here in just a little bit. I think that is down just a little bit, so I may have to go ahead and put the battery tender on it again today. Like I said, in 4 months, this will just be the second time that I've had to do that. All right, so let's talk a little bit here about our experience with this for the past 4 months now, or at least for the first 4 months of use here. I did just get this back from its first recommended service. That service, now the dealer came out, picked it up, took it in, checked all the fluids, changed the oil, did a full service on everything. They recommend for that very first service to do, you know, a full inspection of all the connection points, because from what I understand, these Segways come not fully assembled, and so the dealer actually has to assemble certain parts of it. I don't know. I didn't go into detail. I think maybe the roof, I think it comes without any wheels on it and without the roof attachment on it, and they have to assemble all that. I've seen some pictures. I think that's how it comes. I don't know for a fact that's how it goes. So they did a full service on it. When I had them take it in, I did have this front driver's side wheel was squeaking continuously, and they went in and checked, and they did find that there was some grit up inside the wheel hub basically, and they cleaned that out, and ever since then there's been no squeak. Because of the squeak, I originally thought maybe it needed to be greased, so I got down and started checking all the grease fittings on this vehicle, and I will say there are a lot. There's something like I think on the front there is 6 per wheel or 6 per side in the front, and I can't remember if there's 4 or 5 in the rear. So you're looking at like 20 plus Zerk fittings, grease fittings here that you need to check. Now the good thing is you're not having to constantly grease this thing. I'd have to go back and look at the manual, but I believe it was something like every 100 hours or once a year. once every 3 months or every 100 hours or something. I'd have to go back and double check. But I did find when I checked that, because there are 20, 22, something like that, 24 grease fittings here, I did find that there were 3 that the dealer missed during the assembly process before they sent it out. Not a big deal. I did go get I just got my grease gun out and topped them off. Now, there are several fittings that are very hard to get to. There are a couple up inside basically inside the wheel well, or not the wheel well, but up inside the wheel, basically where the wheel attaches to the axle, right around your discs there. And in order to get to those grease fittings, you really kind of need a 90-degree adapter. So I had to order a 90-degree grease fitting adapter to be able to get up in there to be able to access those, because my grease gun's relatively old, and the metallic tip on that grease gun, it's 3 or 4 inches long, and there's just not that much room to play whenever you're trying to get up inside the wheel there, and then also work around the disc brakes. So did have to buy that. One other thing is the exhaust on this one. So for some reason, every now and then it has a really unique rattly sound to it, and I'll see if I can put the mic back here at it a little bit later and try to get it on video. When you're driving it in low gear between 2,000 and so right when you're just pulling out and as you're getting up to speed, there's a very metallic rattle sound. It sounds like it's coming from the exhaust. Just doing a Google search online, apparently several folks have reported that kind of sound. Now, some have said that there's some clips around the exhaust muffler there where you can, if they're loose, they'll rattle, and that's exactly what I thought it was. That's what I was looking for. I can't find anything loose there. I did have the dealer, when they took it in, check everything out. They said everything looked good, but they also came back to me and they said, hey, we can't find anything, but good news, this vehicle has a lifetime powertrain warranty on it. So they said, you know, technically and I need to double check that, they said that obviously the gearbox, but I think they also said the exhaust system is covered under the powertrain warranty. I don't know that I've seen that before, but I need to double check and make sure that's the case. Either way, it doesn't do it all the time. It's like once the engine, once everything's up to temperature and we've drove it for a while, the sound goes away. And the other crazy thing is, if you're in high gear, it doesn't do that rattle sound either. So it makes me think that it's almost makes me think it's a gearbox type sound, but it sounds like it's coming from the muffler out the exhaust. I don't know. That's the only thing really that I'm a little bit cautious of, and trying to just keep my ear tuned to notice if I pick up anything different on it. Now, as far as performance so far, as I've said in multiple videos, where we're at right now is on the top of the ridge here on our farm. There is a sizable elevation difference from here to down there. I know, you know, elevation difference is relative. I see a lot of people on YouTube that do homestead style videos, and they do equipment reviews and things like that. And to them, a 50-foot elevation change on a rolling countryside is, to them, they call that a sizable elevation change. From my house here down to the road below my house, it's around, I'm trying to remember, 150, depending on where you're at on the road down there, it's 150 to 175 feet elevation change. That elevation change happens in less than 1,000 linear feet. So, I mean, you think about the elevation, the grade there, I mean, that's a really steep gradient. And we take this up and down this hillside all the time. The transmission going downhill, obviously, if you let off the gas entirely, you're pretty much going to go into a freewheel mode, and you're on your brakes the whole time. Whereas if you just barely feather that gas, it's going to hold you at 5 to 7 miles per hour. I have had upwards of 400 pounds of rock in this dump bed going down the hill, and the transmission has held me perfectly at that 5 to 7 miles per hour without ever having to touch the brakes. I will say I was, once again, inexperienced with side-by-sides and how they perform. I was expecting to have to be compensating for the incline with that much extra weight in here using the brakes. Didn't have to. So I was really, really pleased with that. Coming back up the hill, the weight that I've brought back up the hill so far has been only about 200, 250 pounds. I really haven't stressed it a lot as far as coming back, climbing the hillside with a lot of weight in it, but that's just because we really don't have anything at the bottom of the hill to bring up. Probably at some point I will have to bring a load of firewood up, in which case I will be using it. I will be bringing a heavy load up the hill, but so far this year all the firewood we're gathering is up here on top, and it's relatively flat as you drive across this ridge top from one end to the other, and this hasn't had any bit of trouble at all. So like I said too, the windshield here was a Segway windshield that I had the dealer. We actually purchased it at the time we bought the vehicle, but they didn't have any in stock, so they had to ship it to us. It got here maybe 2 weeks after we took delivery of the vehicle itself. Really pleased with the windshield. You know, like I said, it has a very light tint to it, so it really helps with up here on top of the ridge, because as you get early in the morning and late in the evening, you're driving straight into the sun at certain times. So it's really nice to help knock down the brightness intensity of the sun. I have thought about buying a rear windshield. Haven't pulled the trigger on that yet. I mean, mainly the reason I would do it, it's not so much because of using it in cold weather or anything, because we just bundle up. We've always worked outside and just added extra layers of clothes. It would be more for keeping dust from whatever's in my bed blowing back in. Now I will say, we worked down in the garden earlier this week and it was extremely dusty. I was getting potatoes planted and plowing out potato rows and getting everything done, and it was extremely dusty. And when I came to get back in the side-by-side, it was just covered in a layer of dust. Plus it's the pollinating here in East Tennessee, and in 24 hours things go from clean to yellow, and this did as well. But it cleaned out. I mean, I just had a microfiber rag. I just wiped over it one time, not even damp, just a dry microfiber, wiped right out. You know, I can't, you know, I have nothing to say. A lot of people don't ever clean their equipment, but to me, if I can maintain it and keep it clean, then I think a lot of these things, these functions, you got all these electronics and everything. If I can keep the dust down and keep that out of there, to me, I think it's just going to run a lot more, you know, be more reliable and last me longer. Now, we are keeping it in our basement, so this is actually our climate controlled, there's a garage door here, climate controlled basement, so we're keeping it in there, so it is not being subject to dramatic temperature changes. Now that we are getting into spring and we're going to have warmer temperatures at night, we'll probably store it in the barn in the summer, in the back bay of the barn, where it's just easier for us to pull it out and it's not in the way going in and out of the basement roll-up door here. But in the wintertime, I really felt like it was really, you know, if we had the space, it was essential just to keep it stored in there, take care of it, keep mice from getting into it. That's one thing people caution me about with anything, and I learned this the hard way with my tractor. Mice got up into the instrument cluster and they chewed through the wires, and I had to pay to have my tractor rewired. Not cheap. So if I can keep mice out of this and keep them from eating any of these wires that are in here, then, you know, to me it's a no-brainer. Do what I can to keep the mice down. All right, well, I think that's everything I can tell you about it at this point. So 4 months in, as you saw, really low mileage just because we truly are using it here for farm work. We are just now getting into the start of gardening season and stuff here on the farm though, so I'm expecting that the mileage is going to start going up really quickly. Probably a third of this mileage has been put on by my 14-year-old daughter, who she loves to just take it and drive it up and down the driveway up here. So on top of the ridge here, our driveway runs from one end to the other. It's relatively level, relatively flat. We have had it in low gear up to 22 miles per hour in low gear. Now, that was only at about 75% of the RPM red line limit, so we could have squeezed quite a bit more out of it. I don't think we would have had any issue really probably hitting 28, maybe 30 miles per hour in low gear. But here on our farm, there's not really many places where we can get up to that kind of speed. If we lived on a larger, flatter farm where you didn't have ruts and dips and sinkholes and everything everywhere, you could probably do that a lot more. Or if we were taking it out trail riding or riding on the road. But at this point, you know, we have no intention of taking it out on the road. As I said before, no real intention of taking it out trail riding. So low gear, most of the time when I'm driving it, I'm 10 miles per hour or less because I've got a loaded stuff in the back, or I'm hauling chainsaws or whatever with it, and I really haven't had a need to get it up to speed. That's not what I bought it for. I bought it to have it as a work tool to help make work around the farm a little more streamlined, a little more efficient. So thank you for watching. Drop a comment below if you got any questions. If you've got one of these machines, if you're experiencing something similar, or if your experiences have been totally different than this, then drop it below, let me know. But thank you so much for watching. I'll try to do another update here probably middle of the summer once we get to around 6 months and we've started putting it a lot more through its paces with more farm work here around the property. But look forward to seeing you again. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your spring. God bless.